street, they were completely rammed. They were filled up to the gunnels, they were queuing down the street. They said, you should have been here last week. I swear, you should have been here last week. Oh yeah, you should have been here last week.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Should Have Been Here Last Week, the podcast hosted by myself, Steve Gribbin, and my fellow comedian, Paul Ricketts.
Howdy, you all.
You Should Have Been Here Last Week is the comedy podcast that takes a peek behind the sumptuous velvet curtains of the comedy world to reveal the writhing morass of gigs, giggles and gigabytes that make up modern comedy. Each episode will be interviewing the crackers, the trackers, the slackers and the hijackers that make up the modern comedy industry. And today's very special guest is stand-up comedian, writer, actor, radio star, TV panellist and newspaper columnist Shazia Mirza. Welcome to the show, Shazia.
Oh, hello. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
We always start off with the same question, which is, how did you get started?
How did I get started in comedy?
Yeah.
Well, it was an accident, really. I never planned to be a comedian. I'd never even been inside a comedy club in my life till I did my first gig. And obviously, my parents, they wanted me to be a doctor, and I didn't become a doctor. But I tried to do something respectable, so I became a science teacher, and I was teaching in this really rough school. Nobody really listened to me. I was 21. I just finished my PGCE, and these boys were 15, but they looked about 36. They were massive and they never listened to me. They'd be kind of entering my classroom through the windows, leaving through the windows. And it wasn't really a school. It was more like Belmarsh. I mean, I had to try and keep them in, just contain them. I just remember standing there in front of the class trying to contain them, entertain them, keep them engaged. And I just thought, I just can't do this for the rest of my life. What am I going to do? And I used to love comedy, watching it. But I never thought that I would do that. Because when I was growing up, my parents loved comedy. They used to watch, Kenny Everett, Larry Grayson. My mum, she used to like Frankie Howard, all the gay ones. My mum liked. My mum loved all the gay ones, and I remember that gay men making us laugh. Frankie Howard, she used to love, and John Inman. And I just thought, you know what, I need to do something I enjoy. So I enrolled in a comedy writing class at the City Lit. So I went on this comedy course, and I didn't know this, but as part of the course, we had to write, but then we had to perform what we'd written. And I didn't know that was what we were going to do. And I wrote about how much I hated the kids that I taught. And I named all the kids. I named them. I described them. I said how awful they were. And when I stood up to stand in front of the class and read out what I'd written, all these people in the class started laughing hysterically. I just thought, what are you laughing at? This is true. This is what happened to me today. And the teacher, she said to me, this is so good. This is really good. You need to go out on the circuit and start performing this. And I didn't even know what the circuit was. And she gave us a list of these clubs, which were like rooms above pubs off Tottenham Court Road, which were like on a Wednesday night, a room above a pub. And I started going to these little rooms and just doing it secretly in the evening. I never told anybody I was doing it. Nobody knew I was doing it. I had something to look forward to when I'd finished school at 3:30, is that I was going to go into these rooms and start telling strangers what had happened to me in the day. And that's how I started, and that's how it kind of took off, really.
I mean, you actually taught, because I've been reading your biography, you actually taught the future Dizzy Rascal, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I did teach him, and I taught a lot of kids who've done famous and infamous things. Since then, I've had students write to me from prison. I've had students write to me from Belmarsh, from telling me what they are, what they've done, and why.
Why they're in
What?
Belmarsh.
Yeah. what I did on my holidays, miss.
I've had, and then obviously, yes, Dylan. His name's Dylan Mills, Dizzy Rascal. Yeah, he. I did see him at Glastonbury. We were on at the same time, actually, which was crazy. He was on the pyramid stage, and I was on in the comedy stage at the same time.
Oh my God.
I had about 6 people in when I was doing my gig. He had about 6,000, and all you could hear was him. And I just thought, he drove me up the wall when I was teaching him. Now he's heckling me when I'm on stage. I'm in one tent, and all you could hear was him in the other tent. He's a million times richer than I am. He's heckling me. No one's come to see me. Everyone's come to see him. I think he's won.
You didn't have to do teaching. You could have all been different.
I don't know that it could have been because I did biochemistry at Manchester University. I'm from Birmingham, so I had to, in order to kind of leave home and go somewhere and do what I wanted to do, I had to do something respectable. So it had to be something like medicine or something respectable. And then when I finished my degree, I wanted to stay away from home because I felt like there were still things I wanted to explore and go on this adventure, in life. So I did my PGCE at Goldsmiths College in London, and that's how I came here. I came to London, and I think if I'd have got a job after doing my degree, I don't think I would have ended up being a comedian because I had to come to London. I had to come to London, do my PGCE, go to this comedy class, which I never planned to do, but that's how it ended up. So I think that everything was pointing to me being a comedian, but I didn't know it.
Who else was in that class then? The original one that you did?
Well, the one I heard it was a famous class because the people before me that had been in it were Sean Locke, Jimmy Carr, Shappy Sandy, and the one that I was in had Sean Locke's sister in it, Katie. And I would say out of the class that I was in, the group I was in, I'm the only one that is still going. There were people that went for a while. There were people that wrote for a while, but I'm the only one that's still going.
Wow. Can you remember a time when you thought, because we often talked about as comedians that appear on here, when you find your voice, was there any one moment where you thought, oh, that's it, I've got it?
No, I don't think there was any one moment because I think it was always really gradual. Well, in this class that I did, the teacher always said, don't try and be funny. Don't try and be funny. Don't try and be funny. Just tell the truth. Tell the truth about your life. Tell the truth about what's happened in your day. Tell the truth about how you feel about things. Tell the truth about your opinions. In the beginning, I think I didn't really know what I thought about things because a lot of my views were inherited from my parents and their beliefs. So I didn't know who I was. And I think that's part of what stand-up comedy is that it's a journey of self-discovery, is where you find out who you are, what you really think about things, what you really feel about things. And I was 25 when I started stand-up, and I didn't really know what I thought about the world and what I thought about things because I hadn't lived, I hadn't been anywhere, I hadn't experienced many things at that point. So I felt like my voice, becoming who I am, and having a voice and really thinking about what do I really think about things. That happened over time. I think the more you do it, the harder you work, the harder you gig, the more you write, the more you gig, then that becomes clearer to you. It happens gradually. When I started stand-up, I was doing it in secret. Nobody knew. My mum actually thought I was on the game because 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 this is true. Because she knew she knew I was a teacher and everything, and I finished school about 4 o'clock. And every time she called me in the evening, I was either I was going somewhere in a car, I was driving somewhere, I was always out of the house, I was always coming back late. And she just thought, why are you always out in the evening? And my mum, she always thought the worst of everything. She always thought I was doing terrible things. So she thought for a while I was on the game.
What did she do when she found out you were actually doing stand-up comedy? What were your parents' reaction?
Well, they found out that I was doing comedy the night before I was going to be on Have I Got News for You.
Wow.
So the night before, I told them, I said, I'm going to be on Have I Got News for You tomorrow night. And they said, okay. I didn't go into detail. I just said, I'm going to be on this show. Then they thought I'd won some competition and I'd got on this show, which was like a game show. And they thought it was a one-off.
Mm.
And they were in denial about this for a long time. Because people used to stop them in the street in Birmingham and say, oh, we saw your daughter on TV, and they'd go, yeah, it's just a hobby. It's just a hobby. It's gonna end soon. She's a teacher, she's a science teacher. That's how it went on for years.
When would you take their sort of their full acceptance of you as a comedian?
It has never ever been talked about.
Mm. Mm.
So we had this neighbour whose son was gay, and they did the same thing that my parents did. So they were in denial about their son being gay, even though he was really camp and all his friends were gay. And, the parents, whenever he came home, they'd sit around the dinner table and they'd talk about everything apart from him being gay. And it was the same with me and my parents. Every time I came home, we'd sit around the dinner table and my dad would talk about the Kardashians, he'd talk about Trump. It never mentioned that I'm a comedian.
The thing that dare not speak its name. That's incredible. Yeah.
It was never, ever talked about. Yeah. I feel like it's because if they spoke about it, it would be an endorsement.
Mm.
That is, and they can't approve of this because it's not the dumb thing for a Muslim woman to be doing. So they can't talk about it because then they would be endorsing it. Yeah. And they can't endorse it because this is not a respectable thing to do. So it has never been talked about.
Do they still think it's a fad that's going to happen, that you'll suddenly come to your senses and go back to school?
Yeah, I think that's what they think is going to happen.
Yeah. I thought it was brilliant what you said about when you got the you made an appearance on EastEnders, didn't you? Yeah. As a paediatrician, and you said finally a doctor.
It was strange because with EastEnders, they'd been trying to get me in there for ages. I didn't know this till I got the part. And then this role came up for the doctor, which I auditioned for, and I got it. And I just thought, this is crazy because all my life my parents wanted me to be a doctor. Now, finally, I am one. And I know it's not a real one, but I mean, you could tell people I'm a doctor now. I mean, when they asked me to audition for this part of the doctor, I thought, why do you keep asking me to do this? You never give me the part. And I was not bothered at all. And I sent in my self-tape 2 days late because I just thought they never give it to me. Why do you keep wasting my time asking me to audition? And I sent it in 2 days later, and I forgot about it. And then I just got the part.
Wow. Was that a great experience being on EastEnders? Was it good?
All my life I'd grown up watching EastEnders, you know. And what was strange is I think I was 12, I actually wrote to EastEnders and I asked them if I could have a part in it. And I wrote to them and they wrote back, and I always kept the letter, and I've still got the letter.
Oh, wow.
In the letter, it said, you know, we get letters from young people all the time asking for a part in EastEnders, but we only take people from the London drama schools, Sylvia Young, Anna Sher. And so, thanks, I hope you enjoy the show. And I've kept that letter for 30 years, and then I got a part on EastEnders, and I just read through that letter, and I thought, when I was 12, I wrote to you asking for a part. It wasn't the conventional way, but I went round the houses. I got there in the end. And it's weird because I kept that letter all that time.
The love of stand-up comedy then, because you do love it, because I can think of particular gigs that we've done where the only reason we would have survived them was our great love of doing stand-up. Otherwise, what the hell were we doing? I'm particularly thinking we did a ridiculous gig was it Newquay?
It was in Newquay down south. Newquay or Torquay, the end of the earth. It was miles away. And I had this terrible car. It was barely moving. There was 4 of us in it. And honestly, I don't know how we got to this gig. It broke down, and then I think you got it going again.
It was a race against time, wasn't it? Because they were saying they were dying to cancel the gig, and they did.
And then you got it going, and then at one point apart from me, everybody had to get out and push the car up the hill we had to get there, and I just remember, Paul, you saying that. You know, I don't know if we're going to get there, but when we got there, you went, the miracle is not us getting there, it's the car getting there. The car has made it there. And it was like, it was in the middle of, it was just miles away. I don't know how much we were getting paid. I don't know.
Not enough, especially because we turned up, they pulled the gig, and we ended up being put in this hotel and ended up watching an Elvis impersonator that evening.
That's the topper.
Well, it is. You think, well, he's performing, he's getting paid. We had to fight to get the money. It was all, it was ridiculous.
The hotel, well, it wasn't a hotel. It was one of these houses that has been converted into a hotel. It was like the Fawlty Towers Hotel. It was in Newquay, and people were just shouting at the top of their voices. And it was honestly so bad, so awful.
So what is it about comedy then that you love? I mean, what is it? I mean,
you can never say that we haven't paid our dues. When I see young comedians these days, and I think, you haven't grafted, you haven't worked hard enough, you haven't done the miles, you haven't done the suffering. That's why you're not good, because you have not grafted enough. Because when I think of the things that we have done, we have been through, the miles we've travelled, you've been travelling for days to perform to 3 people. That is what the graft is, and that's what we did. And it's not till other comedians remind you of how fucking awful it was that you remember. Oh my God, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I did that gig. And the thing is, because you gigged with all those other comedians, somebody will always remember that awful gig. Yeah. And these days, I don't know if it's just that there aren't those gigs anymore, or if people are not willing to do the work anymore, or if you can get a shortcut on social media and become famous that way. But I just don't think that people have grafted like we did.
I mean, I was good. That sort of bleeds into the question I was going to ask you. I mean, when you first started on the comedy circuit, I mean, what to you have been the major changes in comedy, say, in the last 20 odd years?
Well, obviously, social media
Yeah,
is the main one. When I started, there was no social media, and you just had to graft. You had to. I used to do 3 gigs a night, every night after school, for years, and I think, everybody I gigged with was also doing the same.
Mm.
They were all doing the same. I've been in so many cars with comedians where we travelled miles to do gigs for 100 quid. Back then, it's still 100 quid apparently. I just feel that now with social media, you can sit in your bedroom, face the wall, record some stand up and put it online, and it could go viral. It doesn't even have to be stand up. It can be just you talking to the camera about something funny that happened to you today. Or you're walking down the street and somebody does a funny video and then they put it online and it goes viral. And then the next thing you know, they're doing a tour and then there's 5,000 people that have turned up to see them. But they can't perform because they're not a performer. They haven't grafted. They haven't done 3 gigs a night and travelled 250 miles to do a gig. They've just done it in their bedroom. But they are making money. They have got a following. Clubs will book them because they have a following and people will come to see them. But in terms of the graft and the art of stand-up, the art of writing, the art of performance, that's not there anymore. And, I know, Paul, when we started stand-up, our generation and our kind of class that we started stand-up in, we knew everything about Richard Pryor and Robin Williams and George Carlin and Joan Rivers and all these greats. We knew everything about these comics. We knew everything. I was talking to a comedian the other day. They knew nothing about Joan Rivers and they'd never heard of George Carlin. And I just thought, my God, how can you be a comedian and not know about the people that invented the craft? They'd never heard of Lenny Bruce. Our generation of comics, we felt that this was part of our learning of our craft, is to study the people that came before us and to watch them and to think, how can we do this better?
On the other hand, have they heard of Paul McKenna?
Yes. Oh, yes. They've heard of Tony Robbins. They heard of Tony Robbins, and they had mentioned Tony Robbins.
Who's
and
Tony Robbins?
And Tony Robbins is and they had heard of NLP because they were asking me about NLP.
Because you told me a great story at a gig once about a comic we should not mention the name of, but he's a very famous comic, who got sent by his agent to see Paul McKenna.
Yeah, that's right. I know who you're talking about. Yeah, his agents. He had nerves before going on stage, and I remember the agent saying to me, "Oh, there's something that's stopping him from becoming a huge star. There's just something stopping him because he's brilliant. I can see he's brilliant, but when he gets on stage, he doesn't quite hit it right up there." So he goes, anyway. So I think it's a mental issue. There's something to do with what's happening in here. And he sent him to Paul McKenna. And then in about 6 months, he became absolutely huge.
Oh, so that is the answer then?
It was the answer. It was the answer for him.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because I asked you, I said, well, okay then. Did you get them to send you to Paul McKenna? And you went, no, they wouldn't spend the money on me. And I said, well, what did you do? You said, I went down to W.H. Smith's.
Yes. And I got one of his self-help books. And in the back of his self-help book, he had a CD, which was a hypnotic CD. And I just started playing that. And it's kind of hypnosis. And it worked. It worked. It worked.
Wow.
Forget about Richard Pryor. So forget
Paul McKenna is
Smith's.
Because nowadays you talk to people, just not just in comedy, but in every walk of life, and they're talking about visualization and hypnotization and self-affirmation and self-belief, and they're talking about these things that when we did stand up, it was just about the hard work. It was just, if you work hard, eventually you're going to get there. But now there seems to be so many shortcuts to getting there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is true.
I mean, how have you think that your style itself has changed, Shazia, from when you first started? Because you used to be very, very deadpan
Yeah.
and quite sort of like straight faced, and now you've become a lot more animated, I would say.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
I think as time has gone on, you become more comfortable on stage, and more fearless, I suppose. When you start, you're quite scared. You're scared, and you're not that confident. And then I think as time goes on, you care less about whether they're going to laugh. You care less about what people think. I'm myself. When I go on stage, I'm not a character. I'm a persona of it's myself. Sometimes it's a heightened persona of myself, but I am myself.
In a way, that's interesting. Because that's why, in a way, criticism sometimes really hurts, because you are putting yourself out there, aren't you? And it's an aspect of your life. So if someone said, "Well, I've watched that and I hate it," we're not actors. We're not acting a part. We're actually giving of ourselves, aren't we?
Coming from the time that we came from in stand-up, we were huge. I was hugely criticised. I felt I was criticised more than anybody else because I was the only Muslim woman doing stand-up. There were hardly any women, never mind Asian women, Muslim women. I was expected to socially commentate on everything that was going on in the world, 9/11, 7/11, any terrorist attack. I felt under pressure to do that. I felt under pressure to become very good very quickly because there was so much attention on me. I felt I was judged more harshly, criticised more harshly. And if I hadn't have been such a strong person, I probably, like all the others, would have fallen by the wayside, given up, found something else to do, which happened to most of the people I started stand-up with. They didn't last the course. They thought, I'm not going to make any money doing this. They went and got other jobs. They got married. They had kids. They just never came back to it. I think in stand-up, the people that make it are probably not the funniest. We always know funnier people. They weren't the funniest. They weren't the greatest performers. They weren't the greatest writers. But they did probably work the hardest and stay the course.
Yeah.
And you've got to, in order to make it in stand-up, you've got to weather the course, the good gigs, the bad gigs that you described, Paul. The travelling, the distance, you've got to stay the course. And the people that you see now and you think, oh my God, they're brilliant. They have been doing it for 20 years. They have been doing it for 20 years and they stayed the course. They never gave up.
Can we talk quickly about the stuff that you've done on television, which has been, you've done some great, quite interesting things like Celebrity Island with Bear Grylls. What was that like?
It was me and Mark Watson were the comedians in there. I thought it was quite interesting, really, because it was more about I survived till the end, as I always do. I'm always there in the end. I'm always there. I'm always there in the bitter end. I'm not a quitter. And I think that's what stand-up has taught me is resilience and staying the course. I was on the desert island for a whole month with no food. We had to forage for our food, no clothes, apart from the clothes we were wearing, no mobile phone, no nothing. And I survived till the end, and I think it was a test of resilience and mind over matter, which I think that's what stand-up is,
What was Bear Grylls like?
We didn't see much of him. He dropped us off on this island in Panama. And then we saw him when he came back, when people were leaving, people were leaving the island. They couldn't make it to the end, and he was trying to convince them to stay. And he was saying things like, you're going to regret this. And people were like, I just can't do it, can't make it, can't do it. and then at the end, when I survived to the end. I mean, you have to remember that there were Olympic athletes in there, like Sharon Davis was in there, who didn't make it to the end. In the beginning, it was 5 men and 5 women that went in. In the end, who survived was 4 women and 2 men. And he always said, this happens every time. It happens all the time. Every time, everything I ever do, it's always the women. It's always the women that out-survive the men.
Do you think they should have a version of Bear Grylls for comedy? When someone's thinking of giving up, he comes into the dressing room and goes, look, you're going to regret this. Stay with it.
I wonder, of all the people that have given up, or I wonder if they regret it. Because, there's people you start off with and then you never see them again. But you remember, do you remember that guy who I started stand-up with? Do you remember him? And they never stayed the course, or they never... And I bet you now they see some of us on TV or some of us touring and they think, God, I wish I'd stayed the course. I wish I'd never given up. I wonder if they feel that.
I wish more people would give up. That's the way I'm looking at it. I think you're seeing it all wrong here, Shazia. I think more people need to retire. Not yourself, just the weak ones.
But the weak ones don't realise they're weak. They feel like they've still got something.
But they travel less. That's all. We give them too much too soon.
You mean they don't put the effort in as much?
My thing is, I think the circuit is regionalised, so people do not move outside their areas. They don't have to.
Really?
Yeah. Because if you do,
it never used to be like that.
No.
It's
but there's enough.
Changed.
There's enough good comics all over the country that you don't need to draw them from the south or from London in particular. So, because there is enough good comics in the north.
But also, given the money, people don't want to travel either.
Yeah,
to do
that's
that
also
gig,
part of it.
It's not worth it, because the money's the same as it was 20 years ago. The travel has gone up. So why? It's not worth you doing that gig.
Yeah, exactly. So that gives you even less incentive to travel outside your area. So you tend to get comics that look and sound like the people they're performing to.
Oh, okay.
Because that's what's going to happen. Which leads us on nicely for a final question about what do you reckon about the future of stand-up?
Well, the thing is, it's such a long road from where I started, rooms above pubs, doing gigs on a Wednesday night to 3 people, to being on TV and touring and traveling the world and doing gigs all over the world and comedy festivals. That's such a long road. When I did Would I Lie to You the first time, I thought to myself, God, I've been doing stand-up for 15 years, and then finally I get onto Would I Lie to You after 15 years. And I was on there with a comic, and I'd never seen her perform. I'd never really heard of her. And I said to her, and she was on it, Would I Lie to You with me as well. I said, how long have you been going? She went, 11 years. But you haven't heard of them because they haven't been on TV, because there's so fewer comedy shows on TV. There's so fewer opportunities for comedians to get on TV, that it's just such a minority that manage to get on TV.
Some people would say that TV isn't even the point anymore.
It's not.
Even though I think for real fame, it has to be TV.
Yeah.
You can get as many followers as you want on social media, but for real fame and long-lasting fame, I think TV is still unbeatable.
Yeah. And live stand-up is unbeatable. Doing an hour of really great stand-up and creating a special and putting that out there in whatever form. That, I mean, ultimately, for real fame, real, when you talk about great comedians, that's what you ultimately have to do. Is it has to be about longevity. it's not just about one TV appearance or two TV appearances, but how long can you stay on TV for and keep going? If you've been on TV consistently for 15 years, it's very hard to do that nowadays.
Very true. Yeah.
So yeah, I suppose I don't even suppose. I'm just going to say it. I congratulate you, Shazia, for 15 years. Not that you need it from me.
And after all this time, people still think I'm Shafi Khorsandi, Sindhu V, and other people. The number of times I've been standing at an airport somewhere, and they'll go, "Oh my God, I really loved you on Live at the Apollo." You know, when you talked about your Iranian mum. That's not me. I really loved you in the Pradeeps of Pittsburgh. That's not me.
No.
I mean, after all these years, and I know that they get it also. People think that they're Shazia Mirza, and I think there's so few women in stand-up, and there's so few Asian women and brown women that we just get constantly mistaken for each other. I don't think that happens to white men.
No, it doesn't. I mean, I used to get mistaken for, they'd say, well, it was great when you used to sing and dance for the Halifax Bank. But, what's happened to you since then? It's just...
I once got mistaken for Steve Harris, and he'd upset this guy in the audience. And the guy came up to me and went, "You're a piece of shit, you are. That stuff you did about animals." And I was going, "What?" And then he went to get me. He actually lunged for me. I was thinking, what the hell are you talking? And Steve Harris had been on in the first half and done some stuff about swinging a cat round the room, and this guy had really lost it.
That's the theme of this show, that you've been attacked by members of the audience. I don't know how it happens. No. Now you're blaming Steve Harris.
Yeah. Sorry, Steve. Hey, Shazia, when that happens, are you ever tempted to go along with it?
We all have gone along with it.
Yeah.
Or a lot of times when they've said something negative, like, "I saw you at a gig, blah, 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 and you were shit." I'm like, "Are you sure that was me?" That's not. I think you've got the wrong person.
Yeah. No, it wasn't me. No, I've never been to all the shows.
That wasn't me. Sometimes it's just not worth it, is it?
No, exactly. Shazia, what do you find funny? What makes you laugh?
You know, when you hear comedians say, "Oh, I don't really watch comedy." I hear comedians say this all the time. Don't really watch comedy. I don't really watch other people. Don't really watch other people stand up. I do still watch old stand up. I do still watch Richard Pryor. I do still watch Joan Rivers, because I think, wow, they, 30, 40 years ago, they did this stand-up or an audience with Joan Rivers. I was watching that the other day. I was thinking, my God, this was 35 years ago. It was funny then and it's funny now. How that's how you know somebody's a great stand-up, is when, they're still funny after all these years. Their stand-up is timeless. Parents are always funny because they always say, they're always the most politically incorrect, no boundaries, because there's no filter with them. They'll always tell you how it is.
Yeah.
But for me, honestly, if I saw some woman running for the bus and she fell over and all her...
Sorry.
And honestly, I saw this the other day, some woman running for the bus, and she was carrying her shopping. And I swear to God, all her avocados and bananas and everything went all over the road. And it was so funny. I couldn't stop laughing because it was a Waitrose bag, and everybody, nobody actually gave a shit about the woman. Everybody was looking at her shopping. Oh my God, she's got avocados, organic bananas. I just couldn't stop laughing. The woman fell over and all her middle class shopping went all over the And I just thought, my God, I spent hours trying to write funny gags Yeah, I should just film this and put it on YouTube because this
You
is
should have done.
hilarious. And honestly, I just thought it was so funny. Instead of helping her, I was just laughing. I just hid around this tree laughing.
Do you have problems trusting people now?
I think this isn't just in comedy in general, is that if somebody's doing better than somebody else, I think there's that people always want to know, how can they help me? What can they do for me? Can they get me that gig? Can they put my name forward for that? I think that when you're doing better than others, I think there's always that from other people. You always wonder, what they're going to ask me next. Can you do this? Can you do that for me? Or can you put my name forward for that? I don't know, things like that.
I'm going to do absolutely nothing for you. That's
Or,
and I think I've done that before, and I'll do it again.
Yeah,
the most you've done for me is push my car up a hill.
Yeah,
Yes,
I was about to say that. Yeah, to the gig that was cancelled.
That was so awful. It was so
terrible weekend that was, because they meant to go to Torquay, and it was England playing their first match in the World Cup.
Yeah, I remember.
Horrible gig.
Yeah.
Because both of us were walking around with all these England supporters in Torquay, and both of us were thinking, oh, God, it's a bit dangerous.
It was so awful. Oh, gosh.
Anyway, enough about those awful gigs. We've done it now. We've done it. You've gone on to bigger and better things. I've just gone on to Beckenham. So there you go.
That's quite a nice area.
It is actually, yeah.
You should keep that bit in.
Do you think that's too good for me?
Paul, you've done really well ending up there.
If you fell over and spilt your shopping,
oh well, yeah, we've got
the things we might see.
Funnily enough, we've got Waitrose, and I think that's how you know.
Yeah, we've only got Sainsbury's and Lewisham, so.
Okay, well,
right.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on it, Shaz. That was great.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Interesting little conversation.
Very, very, very fascinating. Yeah, it's good.
If you're a fan of Sindhu V and and Chappie called Sandy,
yeah,
then please, what you need to do is like the podcast you've just listened to or watched, because obviously, do you want us to get them on the show, or do you think that they've just been on the show?
Yeah. So why bother? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Do you want us to get Shazia Mirza on the show instead of having Chappie called Sandry and Sindhu V?
And also, if the person that tried to kill me because of Steve Harris's material, if you'd like to come on the show as well, you can come on as well.
So if you'd like the show, obviously prove it by hitting the button that's called like. If you have that option, subscribe. If you also have that option, tell your friends, share, and spread the word. I remember now, finally, after
spread the word.
55 different podcasts, spread the word is the word I should always spread at the end of a podcast.
I mean, if you can sort of take a leaf out of the Jehovah's Witnesses book, the good book, and just go and knock on people's doors.
Door to door.
Dressed up in a black suit, the white shirt and a black tie. Have you heard the good news about you should have been here last week?
Yeah, I don't think you should even knock. Just open the letterbox and whisper, you should have been here last week.
Yes, right, yeah. Oh, you pretend to be a Mormon. They used to be big, didn't they? I wouldn't have a go at the Mormons because, they're everywhere. Are
they?
Yeah.
Have you checked behind you?
Yeah, there's one just over in the corner there. There used to be, where I used to live in Liverpool, there used to be a big Mormon base there. I used to see them, but they were all American. And they used to go out in pairs and just knock on people's doors and, hey there, have you heard the news about Brigham Young and the Book of Mormon? It's like, what are you talking about?
Salt Lake City.
You can have as many wives as you want.
Carl Malden played him in a film,
Did he?
Brigham Young. Yeah, Carl Malden, the man with the bum for a nose.
Yeah.
Who used to
He
call
was
him
great,
Bumper? It's in the days when a man who had a bum for a nose could be a famous star.
Yeah. He was great in the streets of San Francisco, though, wasn't he? Oh,
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
on.
With his bum
Along-
nose going up and down the hills.
Along with Mr. Kirk Douglas's son, what was his name?
Yes, young Douglas. Michael.
Michael Douglas.
Yeah, who's married to the woman that used to lust after me.
Zeta.
Jones, yeah, she used to fancy me, you know, and I still think she's with Michael. When she's with Michael, she still sees my face occasionally.
Oh, yeah.
Going, I wish I was with that Paul Rickers. Not that she talks like that, but
well, like because she's from Wales, isn't she?
Yeah, she talks like
Terrible
that
Welsh
after I
accent.
finish with her.
All right.
I wish I was with that Paul Rickers.
Oh God! I think we better stop. Stop. Oh God! On that note, bye.
Wait a minute, because all that bit's gonna go. It's not gonna
You can't keep it in though.
just with that Paul Rickers. I wish.
All right. What's occurring? That's what she really speaks like, you know. What's occurring?
So we'll see you on the next one. I think that's the best thing to say, and we'll say
the
goodbye.
Until bye.
Say goodbye to you all.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Yeah.